You'd think after 27 years of loyalty, I'd at least get 5 minutes at the microphone. But no. Not even a folded program with my name listed under speakers. Not even a glance of acknowledgement from the front pew. Just that familiar glare from my Aunt Deborah, the one that always said, "You don't belong here." The irony? I was the one who never left. While the rest of them ran off to build lives and marriages that collapsed faster than Uncle Joe's third business, I stayed. I took care of Grandma Rose. When her mind started slipping and she called me by the dog's name, I stayed. When she threw her tea at the wall and blamed the devil for moving the furniture, I stayed. When she passed, peacefully, in the room I cleaned every week. I was the only one there. But when the funeral plans started, suddenly I was just the help. My cousin Miranda actually said that. Word for word. She was just helping out. Not really family. Not really family. This is coming from the woman who sent Grandma exactly one birthday card. It was blank. She forgot to sign it. So when the church was packed with the usual suspects, people who hadn't lifted a finger but were now soaked in crocodile tears, I sat in the back. Not by choice. By design. Aunt Deborah made it very clear I wasn't to sit near immediate family. I guess feeding, bathing, and dressing someone for half a decade doesn't count as immediate when your last name isn't printed on a trust fund. The microphone was passed around like communion. Miranda sobbed through a speech that mostly revolved around her childhood summer at the lake house. She forgot to mention that Grandma slipped and broke her wrist that same summer. I drove her to the ER. Then it was Uncle Raymond, who said, "Mom loved family above all." Right. Except when she specifically asked me to keep him from borrowing her car after his third DUI. I sat still. Jaw locked. Heart pounding like a funeral drum. No one called my name. Not once. I guess I wasn't dramatic enough. Didn't cry loud enough. Didn't mourn publicly enough. Too quiet, too plain, too inconvenient. So I let them finish. I let the lies float through the stained glass windows and out into the breeze like incense. And when the pastor gave his final blessing and said, "If anyone would like to share a final memory, now is the time," I stood up. The whole row turned. Necks twisted like owls. Discomfort rippled across their shoulders. I didn't walk to the microphone. I didn't even speak. Instead, I stepped to the side and raised the remote control I'd tucked in my bag. Everyone stared. The screen behind the altar flickered to life. That's when Grandma's voice filled the chapel. Warm. Clear. Unmistakable. "Hi, sweetheart. If they're playing this, I'm gone." She laughed. That soft, sandpaper laugh that always came right before something sharp. "I hope my family gave you a seat. If not, well, I'm not surprised." Gasps. Someone dropped a hymnal. I didn't look around. I just watched. Listened. Let her speak. "I want you to know, Peggy, you're the reason I got to die at home. You're the reason I had dignity, love, care. You, not the ones in pearls and pressed suits. So if they didn't let you speak today, I'll speak for you." The room went ice cold. Dead silent. Even the pastor froze. "I made a video," she continued. "Because I knew they'd try to rewrite everything. But I'm still me, even in death. And they don't get to erase the truth." I pressed pause. Just for a moment. Let the weight of it settle. I could feel Aunt Deborah's eyes burning into the back of my head. I turned around slowly. And smiled. Because Grandma wasn't done yet. And neither was I. This was just the beginning. The second the screen lit up again, you could practically hear the tension crackle through the air. I didn't have to say a word. Grandma was doing all the talking, and she was just getting started. She looked right into the camera. "Deborah," she said, voice firm, "if you're in the room, I assume you are, since you love appearances, Let's not pretend you've been a devoted daughter. Aunt Deborah made a strangled noise, half cough, half gasp. I swear, if her pearls weren't already choking her, Grandma's words were. You came by twice in 6 years. And each time, you brought store-bought cookies and left early because the smell of old people made you anxious. Someone near the front choked on a breath. I didn't look to see who. And Miranda, sweetheart, Grandma said, voice dripping with that same sugar-laced venom she used whenever she was about to verbally gut someone. You said I was like a second mother to you. That's funny. You ignored my calls for 2 years. I watched you post selfies on boats while I sat in a chair I couldn't get out of by myself. Miranda's face turned a shade of red usually reserved for fire alarms. Her husband slowly put his arm down from around her shoulder. Grandma kept going. But Peggy? Peggy was there when I couldn't walk. When I forgot what year it was. She cut my food. She cleaned me when I was too embarrassed to ask. She held my hand when I cried over memories I couldn't remember. I wasn't crying. Not yet. My tears weren't for public consumption. Not like theirs. The silence in the chapel had shifted. People were shifting in their seats, not out of boredom, but discomfort. Truth was a powerful disinfectant. I asked Peggy not to tell anyone about this recording, Grandma said, calm as ever. Because I wanted to see what you'd all say when you thought I couldn't hear. Oh, they'd said plenty. Uncle Raymond had joked at the wake that I was probably hoping for a mention in the will. He said it loud enough for me to hear, then offered me a plate of shrimp like that made it better. I didn't touch it. Now he was sitting with his jaw clenched, arms folded, eyes darting around like someone might drag him to the podium and ask for an apology. Grandma leaned in close to the camera. Her voice dropped just enough to make everyone instinctively lean forward. I made changes to my will. Significant ones. Oh yes, here it comes. If you're surprised, maybe that says something about you. Maybe it's time to sit with that. She smiled. Not the warm one. The knowing one. I gave what I could to those who showed up, really showed up. Not just with flowers and fake smiles. But with time. And patience. And kindness. That was my cue. I stepped forward again, remote in one hand, envelope in the other. The attorney Grandma trusted had given it to me just hours earlier. Told me exactly when to hand it to the pastor. So I did. He looked confused, until I whispered. She said you'd understand once you opened it. He unfolded the paper, scanned it, and blinked. Then looked at me. Would you like to read it? He asked. I shook my head. This wasn't about my voice. It never had been. It was about hers. He cleared his throat. Then read aloud. To my beloved Peggy, I leave the house, the savings account, and full ownership of the property on Briar Lane. You could have heard a pin drop. Or a jaw. Peggy is not just the help. She is the daughter I chose. The person I trusted. And the one who never once asked for anything, but gave me everything. That's when the crying started again. Only this time, it wasn't performative. It was panic. Because Miranda, Raymond, Deborah, they hadn't just lost the narrative. They'd lost the money. And the spotlight. They tried to silence me. Tried to bury the truth along with Grandma. But they forgot one thing. She saw everything. And she made sure everyone else would too. They say funerals bring people together. I say they reveal who people really are. And as we left the chapel that day, I saw every mask crack. Aunt Deborah stormed outside first, muttering something about legal nonsense and ungrateful little leech. She forgot I was standing 5 feet away. Or maybe she just didn't care anymore. Miranda tried to recover her image fast. Peggy, I didn't know Grandma felt that way, she said, blinking fast like it might wring tears from her eyes. I always loved her, you know. I tilted my head. Sure. That's why you posted a beach pic the day she fell in the kitchen. Miranda flinched. She didn't have a comeback. She just looked down at her designer heels like they might swallow her. Uncle Raymond didn't even try. He marched right to the parking lot, nearly knocked over a flower stand, and peeled out like it was a car chase. Classy as ever. But me? I stayed. Not because I wanted to gloat, though, let's be honest, the temptation was strong. But because I still had one last thing to do. You see, the video wasn't the end. Not really. Grandma left me a letter. A handwritten one, in her slightly shaky but still beautiful script. It came with a key. To the attic. I hadn't been up there in years. Not since I was a kid, and it felt like a place where time stood still. Dust and secrets lived up there. And now, apparently, something else. I waited until the evening of the funeral. When the house was empty again. When the air felt still enough to breathe the past. I climbed the steps slowly, flashlight in one hand, key in the other. The lock clicked open with a soft snap. Inside was a single trunk. Old. Wooden. Lined with photos, letters, and one worn-out manila folder. I sat down cross-legged on the attic floor and opened it. Inside were documents. Records. Receipts. Everything Grandma had quietly collected. Deborah's forged signatures. Raymond's borrowed money that was never repaid. Miranda's little stunt with Grandma's credit card, which she claimed was an accident. There it was. Every sin they thought had been buried. Documented. Organized. Labeled. Grandma didn't just tell the truth at her funeral. She left me the proof to back it up. I spent the next week scanning everything. Compiling it. Preparing it. And on the 7th day, I hit send. To the rest of the extended family. To the estate lawyer. To a few board members at the local charity Deborah claimed to sit on. And, because I'm thorough, to the community Facebook group she loved to moderate. The reactions? Exactly what you'd expect. Deborah was asked to step down from her volunteer board. Raymond got a visit from someone very official looking with a badge and clipboard. And Miranda? Well. She went private on all her socials and posted a long, vague story about being betrayed by someone she trusted. Cute. But I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Grandma had already spoken. And now, so had the truth. Weeks passed. People stopped calling me the help. Some didn't call me at all. Which was perfectly fine. I didn't need their approval. Or their invitation to brunch. I had the house. The peace. And a garden full of lavender Grandma planted the year I graduated. Funny how people always try to rewrite history when the subject can't argue back. But Grandma knew that. So she gave me the pen. And I wrote the ending exactly how it deserved to be written. Let them say what they want now. Let them seethe. Let them spiral. Because when they tried to silence me at the funeral, they forgot one thing. Dead women can still speak. Especially when they leave behind someone like me. And the video? Still lives online. Private link. Set to play. Every year, on her birthday. Let them remember.